Good day everyone and welcome back to the channel. So I'm going to be discussing My Hero Academia chapter 336 today. Of course, if you're new, consider hitting the like button, hitting subscribe, tune in. Should be a playlist somewhere up there with all the other reviews for My Hero that I've done. We do One Piece, we do Black Clover, we do Marvel, we do movies, we do a bunch of things. So if you're new, hit like, hit subscribe. Let's jump straight into the chapter. So yeah, spoiler warning, and let's begin. So this week My Hero is the cover of Jump with Deku and All Might. So there's that, and then we jump straight into the chapter titled Villain, and this week we have a colored page for it, and it's essentially what seems to be a bunch of class 1A members with animals along with Hawks and President Mike and a few other people in some kind of snowy, icy terrain. So yeah, we then jump into the chapter, and the chapter picks up with Deku and Bakugo training, and Bakugo basically says he's practiced what Endeavor has told him to concentrate your attacks and let it out, but he's not just releasing and building up anymore one at a time. He's trying to do it in a heap or with a bunch so that it'll be bigger and stronger instead of just one blast. Now we see Deku here as well freezing now because of that. And Deku is like, that's pretty good. And he looks over to Todoroki, and Todoroki is trying to practice both his hot and cold side as well. But he's still trying to figure it out. We then get the dialogue of the chapter, and that is true. First we see Mineta and Kaminari sit down speaking, and they're like, so they're saying this is going to be an all-out war, but how can it be an all-out war if the top two guys kind of on the ropes? Because we have Gigantomachia caught and he's pinned down, and they're basically sedating him. He's snoozing right now, and we see a big tent building thing. I'm not sure if they built that over Machia or it's close to him, but yeah. And then we get the title, of course, again, Villain. So the title of this chapter is Villain. I think I mentioned that earlier. If not, well, Villain. And now we get Bakugo explaining why things aren't as good. So he tells Mineta and Kaminari that there are 3 reasons why what you're saying isn't the case. The first reason is finding them is unlikely, because no matter how many times we found their hideout, we found the Nobuhanga Shigaraki's hideout, all the other secret labs, but they weren't there. The big bad always seems to get away. So he's like, old nutsack face is the world champion at hide and seek. And that's pretty funny. We then see Yayorozu giving point number 2, and her point number 2 is essentially, well, there's one point that he made, but reason 2 is Shigaraki's body wasn't even complete last time, and while this time our own forces have thinned out to half their former numbers. We see a sad Kaminari listening to the points. We see earphone jack girl in the corner saying gross to grow up, telling Bakugo that after his comment on All for One's face. Bakugo then says third, the other thing is they have their finger on the trigger, so even if he lost the search quick and all of that, they still manage to or they still get the opening move, and that's why our side is still calling in reinforcements with everyone they could get. So basically, even though Shigaraki was depowered a bit, the villains still have the upper hand, is what they're getting at. Deku then says, you know, with his hair all frizzy now after his fight with Bakugo, he's like, if nothing else, we can choose how to enter the fight, and hopefully we could do that in a way that steers this fight in our favor. So he says I'd better rejoin the search. He then pops up behind him and it's a chop on the head, anime style. You see his hair cover his eye, and he's like, don't you mean we, not you? Deku says, well, yeah, right on, you're correct. And he asked if he could go for a quick stroll through. I guess you weigh the woods right there, because he's like, they're like, because Uraraka's speech went so well, the civilians seem to be a bit warmer towards Deku and the heroes now, so you should be able to have a little free time to go walk. So you see Kaminari looking depressed after hearing all those things, and basically we then cut to the forest and we see Invisible Girl in the woods. Last chapter we thought Invisible Girl was the spy because of how the chapter ended, but we get her saying to herself, you know, ever since Chaku and Gunga, someone has been down in the dumps, and we've all felt that way, but you know, something about this isn't right. She's mentally speaking to herself, and we see someone talking in the woods now who she's looking at, and basically person is saying, you know, you have a choice, or you don't have a choice, that is, because he doesn't have a choice. You don't have a choice. Orders have come in again from him, and basically the orders are the same. Don't worry, it's just like always. Even if people interpret or intercept the messages in code, so it should be cool, nobody would figure it out, and there's no security here, so, or camera, so it should be good for us to meet up here, right? It should be fine. And then we cut back to what Invisible Girl is saying in her head, and she's like, I had to wonder why you haven't smiled once since Midoriya came back to her. I was just worried. And then we see a text in a black box, because that should be the bad person speaking, or one of the persons from the tree, and they're like, basically everyone is there, but for some reason, you know, even though everyone is there, everyone is happy, I couldn't, you know, feel that way. Everyone leading up to the big fight at Ding, you know, everything was just off. So basically we just getting this person talking about what it is, and basically they're saying the convo is black, so you can't really tell who's speaking. It's kind of like when Darby said who he was. You couldn't really see, they blacked out the text, but they made the speech bubble black, so it's like that. But basically the person is saying All For One always pulled off, or whatever it was, it always managed to get pulled off, and because All For One asked, you know, if you fail now he'll kill us, essentially. So basically they're saying All For One was the bad guy forcing this plan on them, and everything leading up to there was fine. They thought it was fine, it was nothing serious, they thought they would be okay, but now he's saying, you know, if you fail he'll kill us. And they then say, you know that you can cut to his face, and we see it's Aoyama's face, big panel of his face, and we see the two people he's speaking to are his parents, and essentially we get his backstory. And the backstory is he was born quirkless, and his parents went to All For One to get him a quirk because his dream was to be a hero and he felt left out and all of that, kind of like Deku did, and he couldn't become a hero without a quirk, so his parents made the deal with the devil, All For One, to get him a quirk so he could be a hero. Yes, that was a mouthful. But in doing that, they kinda, even though they made him or gave him that chance to be a hero, he essentially is a villain for doing this. So we then cut away from his backstory, and they're basically saying, you know, we're too deep, if you don't do what he says he'll kill us. We see Invisible Girl saying she needs to find a teacher or someone to tell them the truth, and we see Aoyama breaks down, he's crying. He was happy when he saw All For One get caught the first time because he thought that would be the end of it, but it wasn't the end of it. And his parents are still in trouble and he can't do anything because if he does his parents will die. So we then see his parents saying you have to save us, and we cut to Deku looking sad and worried and shocked and confused in the woods, and he's like, Hagakure told me what she heard, that you're the traitor in the midst, Aoyama, but what's really going on? And his parents begin to say, no, she must have misheard, but he then says, Midoriya, you're right, you know, I am basically the villain. But he says it in a more breakdown way. But we get flashbacks of him crying, saying, you know, what it was, and we see him saying that, you know, I had to do it, I had to lie to you guys, I am a despicable villain, and essentially I'm doing it for my parents. And we see the cheese letters that he left before was from him, that we saw way on early in the anime recently and the manga. So way on early. And that could basically is like, you've been looking gloomy, thought something must have been wrong, but so I came looking for you, but this isn't what I expected. And the chapter ends, and this chapter was dialogue heavy. It's tiring to read all those words, but essentially Aoyama is the real traitor, the real villain in UA, who's been leaking information. So now we need to see how they deal with it. We know he's trying to save his parents, so that's why he was doing it. So it's not like he's willingly doing it, so let's see what comes of this, how they resolve it. Because I mean, I don't think Deku is going to kill him. So maybe they'll take his parents and Aoyama keep them anyway until the fight is over. I don't know. But all in all, it was a good chapter. Very highly dialogue heavy. Very dialogue heavy. But the breakdown of the chapter is essentially they found out who the bad guy is. It's Aoyama. We need to see what happens next. But yeah, I'll see you all next week for the next review. And of course, again, pretty decent chapter, just a lot of dialogue. And I'll see you all for next week's chapter review. I don't believe there's a break, so yeah, again, I'll see you all. Time is about to finish on camera to record, so gotta cut this short. Bye.